The Flash was like a heroin shot of member berries.
I'm Batman.
I have no way to describe this film to you other than a bad LSD trip with superheroes and they-them pronouns. The CGI was so bad, it made She-Hulk look like a technical masterpiece. You gotta see it to believe it, really. The film also suffers from a lot of bloat. Somehow the writers at Warner Brothers took the Flashpoint comic, which was a great DC story, and a reset for DC. They reset DC all the time, but that's another story anyway. And they removed everything good about Flashpoint. Literally, that's the review. It's Flashpoint, but everything good about Flashpoint isn't in it. It's like, hey, would you like a cheeseburger? And then they remove everything good about the cheeseburger, but you can have the bread and the seeds. Oh, wait a second. Stu just gave me this. Okay, the director put out a statement to let us understand why the CGI looks so bad.
We are in the perspective of Fluffy. The idea, of course, is we are in the perspective of Flash, she said. Everything is distorted in terms of light and texture. We enter this water world, which is basically being Barry's POV. It was part of the design, so it looks a little weird to you. That was intended.
Correct answer is... horse!
Ah, that's a good way to put it. I fell down the stairs for comedic effect when I came into the room to just brighten everybody's day. So basically, it's my fault. This was all part of the plan, and Warner Brothers is genius. Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I was on a crack-fueled fever dream starring Ezra Miller. Somehow, someone at Warner Brothers thought, what's better than one Ezra Miller in a movie? Two Ezra Millers. I'm going to assume that they did this total 180 from the comic book storyline to save money by not having the other members of the Justice League on film for more than 3 minutes apiece. Basically, older Barry / Ezra meets younger Ezra, helps him become the Flash because it's what's supposed to happen in his timeline. Then the DCU Flash that we know and love, quotation marks, loses his power and runs around the room like a homosexual for comedic effect. This run was so gay it made James Charles homophobic. This whole movie felt more like a comedy that went on way too long with too little laughs. It would have benefited from being half as long and cutting out all of the needless scenes that were added to the film for no other reason. Like, you know, when Ezra meets younger Ezra and they sit and talk for way too long about everything and they have like a little adventure, and yeah, it was just too long a movie. In this movie, Flash's father is in the mix. So his mother's death is then pinned on his father. There's like no evidence that the father did it too.
Don't ask questions.
But the whole thing makes sense if you don't think about it. I guess having the father in the movie was to add some extra sense of drama, peril, and an extra reason why Flash was in the past. I don't know. And it was probably there to line up an ending joke with George Clooney. Ironically enough, Ezra Miller was probably the worst part of the movie. And the CGI. Hell, I actually like Supergirl when I thought I'd dislike her. And let's face it, Michael Keaton's Batman is still iconic. But overall, the movie felt like a discombobulated mess with no real point for being. There was no real villain because Professor Zoom wasn't in the movie. The lack of the war between the Themyscirans and Atlantis also, it doesn't exist. That probably would have been more interesting than bringing back General Zod again, but it works for the DCU Snyderverse. It would have been cool to see like Thomas Wayne, you know, a vicious, more brutal Batman. But, you know, you get what you can with these live action movies. And basically what you can get from these live action movies is disappointment. That's like all we ever get. Okay, listen, I'm going to be real with you. If you want to watch a good Flashpoint movie, go to HBO Max right now and watch the animated version. Or go buy the comic books. Even better, hell, do both if you want. Because this movie just isn't it. This probably should have never made it to movie theaters. This should have been like an HBO Max thing. It's not good enough. By the end of the film, when the multiverses start to collapse in on themselves, Warner Brothers makes a callback to every DC TV show and movie that ever existed. Which might have been a cool idea if the CGI wasn't god-awful. Oh, I mean, if we weren't in Flash Vision. It was kind of funny to see like a PS3 rendering of Christopher Reeve's Superman. And it just looks like something from 2 generations ago on consoles. And you're like, oh man, they really did rob Reeve's grave. By the end of the film, the villain reveals himself, the one that shows up for 3 seconds in like the beginning of the film and then vanishes. And now we've got him at the end of the film. And it's Ezra Miller again, but it's like an older Ezra Miller trying to set time right, and somehow it turns him into a monster. I don't know. And then the fight scene's over in like 3 seconds. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish here. I guess it was to set up the new DCU that was canned before the film even came out, so at that point the film's kind of useless, am I right? Don't get me wrong, the movie did have some moments, but 3 or 4 good scenes out of a 2+ hour movie doesn't justify its existence. Okay, The Flash, yeah, I forgot. I was reviewing that. I don't recommend it. What's sad is like The Flash had trailers that made it look interesting, and then you get this, and you're just sitting there, and it's like, the trailers are basically the best moments in the film. Watch the Flash trailers. Those are the key moments. Those are the ones you want to see. After that, you're like done. It's so stupid. It is so stupid.